If you grew up in America in the 60s, 70s, 80s, or even the early 90s, then you know this simple truth. Some sounds stay with you forever, and today we're going to bring them all back. Do you remember the sharp click of a rotary phone? Or the bright little tune of the ice cream truck drifting down your street? Maybe it was the sound of a cassette rewinding in your bedroom, or the ka-ching of a cash register at the 5 and dime. These weren't just noises. They were the background music of everyday life. So settle in, because the next few minutes might bring back more memories than you expect. Before smartphones took over, a phone call started with a rhythm all its own. The slow turn of a rotary dial, the sharp mechanical clicks as it spun back, and the bright ring of a wall-mounted bell phone that could cut through any room. Hanging up the receiver had a solid thump you could feel in your hand. And early answering machines added that soft tape whir as they saved a message. These weren't just noises, they were the soundtrack of everyday life. Think back to the days when changing the channel meant twisting a big knob and hearing each click as the picture shifted from one station to the next. Static snow filled the screen whenever the signal drifted, and every night many families heard that familiar line.
It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
News intros, radio jingles, even the long, steady tone of the test pattern were part of the routine. These sounds marked the rhythm of evenings across the country. There was a whole world of sound behind the music we grew up with. The soft snap when you pressed play, the fast whir of a cassette rewinding, the gentle scratch as a needle settled onto vinyl, and flipping a tape to side B always started with that quick, confident click. Even the slight hiss behind the music felt normal back then. Every part of the process had a sound that made listening feel hands-on. Some sounds didn't just play in the background, they defined whole moments. Saturday mornings took off. The second cartoon theme songs came alive in the living room. The NBC chimes carried a tone everyone recognized instantly, and evening news intros signaled it was time to pay attention. Even the sign-off at the end of the broadcast day had a certain weight to it. These were small cues that shaped the flow of a typical American household. Early technology came with a personality modern devices don't have. CRT monitors snapped on with a hum. Keyboards clacked loudly with every key press, and floppy disks made that familiar chunk as they locked into place. The dial-up modem's wild screech meant the internet was finally connecting, even if it took a moment. And the Windows 95 startup tone quickly became one of the most recognized sounds of the decade. These noises were part of learning a new digital world. Walk into any arcade in the 70s or 80s, and the noise hit you before the lights did. Pac-Man starting up with that cheerful chime, Donkey Kong's first jump, the steady clicks of an Atari joystick, and of course, the sound every kid remembers, the quarter dropping into the machine. Those games didn't need fancy graphics. Their sounds filled the whole room and made every visit feel like a small adventure waiting to happen. A school day back then had its own soundtrack, the loud metal ring of the school bell echoing through the halls, the quick clatter of the film strip projector when the teacher rolled it out, and the steady rhythm of a typewriter tapping away in the corner of the classroom. Even the shuffle of desks across the floor had a familiar tone to it. These weren't just noises, they were part of growing up in an era when everything felt a little bigger and a little louder. Homes in the 60s through the 80s had a warm chaos to them, and the sounds were a big part of it. The snap of a metal lunchbox opening, the sharp ring of a twin-bell alarm clock, the heavy pull of a refrigerator door, and the deep rumble of a Sears garage opener late in the evening. Even opening a glass Coke bottle had a crisp pop you could hear across the room. If you ever walked through a beaded doorway, you remember the sound instantly. A soft clatter of wooden or plastic beads brushing against each other as someone passed through, hanging in the air for a second before settling. You could hear it from another room and know exactly who was coming or going. Old soda fountains had a charm modern machines can't copy. The hiss of carbonated water hitting the cup, the clink of ice tumbling in, and the metallic pull of the lever as syrup mixed in. You heard those sounds in diners, drugstores, bowling alleys, places where families gathered on weekends. Even before you took a sip, that familiar mix of bubbling and clattering told you a treat was on the way. Walking into a store in those days meant hearing a whole mix of sounds you almost never hear now. The sharp ka-ching of a mechanical cash register, the tearing noise when a clerk ripped off a printed receipt, and the steady hum of busy aisles filled with people shopping for the week. Even small drugstores and five and dimes had their own rhythm. These sounds made every visit feel familiar, almost comforting in their routine.
And a camera.
This is Peace on Earth.
Hey, look, they got a camera.
Doesn't everybody?
Yeah, we may have missed.
A Polaroid didn't just take a picture, it announced itself. First came that quick whir click as the film shot out of the camera, followed by the soft flap as it landed in your hand. And then came the wait, watching the image slowly appear like a little piece of magic. For many families, that sound meant birthdays, vacations, or a quick moment someone wanted to keep. It was simple, but it felt special every single time. Growing up in America meant summers filled with their own music. The cheerful melody of the ice cream truck drifting down the block, sprinklers ticking away on a hot afternoon, and the fluttering rattle of a playing card clipped to bicycle spokes.
Caleb, 3, 2, 1, and let it roll.
Kids didn't need much to make a day exciting. One sound from outside was usually enough to send everyone running toward the street. Travel in the 70s and 80s came with its own lineup of sounds. The solid click of mechanical radio buttons, the steady hum of engines that had their own character, and the ring of coins dropping into a roadside payphone. Long drives meant open windows, maps on laps, and the low drone of the road beneath you. These sounds were part of every family trip, etched into memories as clearly as the destinations themselves. These sounds came from a world that moved a bit slower and felt a little warmer, and somehow they stayed with us all these years. They carried us through school days, long summers, family trips, and those quiet moments at home that seemed so ordinary back then. If one of them brought a smile or reminded you of someone you haven't thought about in ages, then this little trip back in time did what it was meant to do. Now, I'd really like to hear from you. Which sound from your childhood is the most unforgettable? Share yours in the comments, and let's see which memories rise to the top.